From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, President Goodluck Jonathan seeks international assistance to end crude oil theft. Nigeria woos World Bank to assist in the area of infrastructure development. PDP and APC trade words over Delta Central senatorial election. And former Liberian President Charles Taylor seeks prison transfer from British prison to Rwanda.
And on the business news, the Nigerian equities market crosses the 37,000 psychological line ahead of the Eid al-Kabir celebrations.
And on sports news tonight, Nigeria Football Federation Executive Committee hits former Secretary General Taiwo Bunjobi and former NPL Chairman Victor Baribote with lengthy bans.
The President has urged the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, 80, to ensure that refineries that receive stolen crude oil from Nigeria are identified and punished. President Goodluck Jonathan made this demand during a meeting in Abuja with the chairperson of 80, Ms. Claire Short, noting that Africa is losing a lot through leakages in the mining and extractive industry. The President also challenged 80 to help in ending the exploitation of Africans by multinational companies engaged in the extraction of the continent's natural resources. On her part, Ms. Short briefed President Jonathan on 80's efforts to ensure that Africa's mineral resources are well managed and utilized for the benefit of her citizens.
To drive forward the reforms that they've showed are needed, you need the backing of the government and the President. And the President has taken a lot of interest in this work and has promised stronger backing, and he's about to appoint this committee with more senior representation so that all the ministries will be forced to implement the necessary reforms. And we also discussed the whole question of oil theft from the Delta and the sort of criminals who take it into ships and go off into the international system, and how more can be done about that. But I think personally that Zainab and the chair, Dudum, have done a fabulous job. It's now clearer and clearer where the money is going missing in Nigeria. And if the government gets behind the reforms that they have suggested, we could get lots more money for the government and then make sure that money is properly spent for the people.
The President has called on all Islamic faithfuls in the country to pray for the peace and progress of Nigeria. The President, in his Eid al-Kabir message, contained in a press statement, charges all Muslims in the country to find time to meditate on the virtues espoused by the Holy Prophet, insisting that his administration remains fully committed to implementing policies that will enhance national cohesion. President Jonathan notes that those saying that the proposed national dialogue is diversionary are in error. The President states, quote, "I seize the opportunity of this occasion to urge Nigerians to give their fullest possible support to this renewed effort to harness the efficacy of dialogue and consensus building for the future well-being and progress of our beloved nation." End of quote. Meanwhile, reactions have continued to trail the recent comment by the leader of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Bola Tinubu, that the national conference being planned by President Jonathan is ill-timed. The Senior Special Assistant to President Jonathan on Public Affairs, Dr. Doyin Okupe, at a news conference in Abuja, noted that the position of Senator Tinubu on the conference does not represent the views of the majority of Yoruba people in the Southwest. He urged the members of the opposition to be realistic by giving credit to the present administration without denigrating the office and person of the President.
We wish to state categorically that President Goodluck Jonathan has shown convincingly that he is a credible, reliable, and capable leader by his unprecedented achievements in such a short space of time. He most certainly does not flip-flop, as the opposition politicians insinuate or also do. President Jonathan promised to embark on electoral reforms with the sole aim of giving Nigerians the full value of credible elections. It will be recalled that the very first general elections under the watch of Mr. President was adjudged by both local and international agencies and observers, including leaders of foreign countries like America, Britain, and France, as being one of the best ever in Nigerian history. This fact is further confirmed by the monumental reduction of almost 70% of litigations arising from the conduct of the elections in Nigeria. The reference to the fact that Mr. President is calling for a national conference at a time when his party, the PDP, seems to be having an internal crisis is plainly mischievous and dishonest. The APC leadership is completely off target. Desperate politicians and self-seeking political leaders tend to believe that their quest for power alone or insatiable appetite for wealth accumulation through politics is actually superior to the genuine desires and innate aspirations of the ordinary Nigerians.
The winner of the Delta Central senatorial by-election, Mr. Emmanuel Agwariawodo, defeated his closest competitor with over 200,000 votes, a cause for celebration among the ranks of the PDP. The governor of Delta State, Emmanuel Oduaron, joined other members of the party to celebrate the victory. The winner says the result: there is no party that can challenge the party's dominance.
Victory, they say, is sweet. For the PDP in Delta State, the result of Saturday Delta Central senatorial by-election calls for celebration. In that light, the governor of Delta State, party members and the candidate gather in this room. This meeting is not only to celebrate, but to assess the efforts the party has put in the election.
And yesterday, as PDP members of Delta Central, we spoke with all of us.
The battle may be over after the polls. For the candidate, the victory is an assurance of the party's dominance in the state.
With this unity, I don't see any party. There's no party in Delta State today that can rival us. There's no.
Reclaiming Delta Central senatorial district appears to be the essence of the result for the PDP members gathered in this room. But beyond the politicking, the interests of the people must now be top on the agenda of a new senator.
In the meantime, the All Progressives Congress candidate in the Delta Central Senatorial District by-election is calling for the outright cancellation of the election and for INEC to fix a date for a rerun. The APC, in a post-election press conference, accused the PDP of using the military to intimidate voters and also engaging in the falsification of the result.
We of the APC and I as a candidate reject in its totality the purported outcome and result as announced by INEC. We hereby demand for a fresh election that will allow the people of Delta Central to freely select a candidate of their choice to fill the vacant senatorial seat. In PDP strongholds, areas that PDP appear to would have won or have control, the military supervised the thumb printing of ballot papers in private homes of PDP stalwarts. For example, thumb printing took place in the deputy governor residence, I'm talking of Delta South, in the PDP candidate Emmanuel Agwariawodo's house in Ughelli South, as well as Chief John Oguma's house in Ughelli South.
What has happened is a complete rape of democracy. It is also a possible template of what the PDP plans to do in 2015. So it's our duty to raise the alarm as early as possible and begin to fight this very dangerous slide into complete chaos and anarchy.
Nigeria is asking the World Bank to help develop infrastructure in the country. This is part of the decisions reached at the just concluded World Bank IMF annual meeting in Washington, D.C. Investing more on infrastructure, according to them, is one way to help bring out the countries from abject poverty. Our business correspondent, Chimezie Obi-Nwagu, who covered the event in Washington, D.C., reports.
This year's annual meeting basically centered on reducing poverty across the world and coming up with infrastructure policy to help nations around the world is what these international bodies seek to do going forward. Addressing the Nigerian delegates and delegates from other Commonwealth countries, Dr. Okonji-iweala talked about eradicating poverty through infrastructure development.
If you do a survey in most of our countries, you will find that the biggest binding constraint on growth and development and on helping the poor is really infrastructure, be it power, be it rural roads, be it water, clean water. The whole infrastructure thing is linked to agriculture and ability to do better. It's linked to education where you don't have power and you don't have buildings for your children to go to school in.
Aside from infrastructure, strong monetary policy that will see a stronger economic growth is also key. The CBN governor, who has made it clear he is not seeking for second term, believes he has left a legacy that must be sustained.
I don't think that any particular individual should ever consider himself indispensable. An institution is far more important than an individual. I also think that it is part of the strength of a leader that you're able to build an institution that believes in your vision and you're comfortable enough. Because nobody wants to have his legacy basically wiped out and tumbled. So if you're comfortable enough to walk away from the job, it's because you feel you left an institution that has been sufficiently influenced by the thinking and the strategy.
Resolving the U.S. debt crisis was also a point of discussion. Lamido Sanusi, who for the third time clinched the Emerging Markets Award for the Central Bank Governor of the Year for Sub-Saharan Africa, in his chat with Nigerian journalists, also spoke on the impacts the non-resolution might have on the emerging markets, particularly Nigeria.
We do think that they will reach some agreement over this weekend. I think there is some progress has been made so far. The government shut down.
Market women protest long ASU strike. That's in a moment. Do stay with us.